In the ancient world of India, long before the teachings of the Buddha spread across Asia, the landscape of spirituality was filled with rituals, mystical powers, and magical practices. People sought protection through spells, prosperity through charms, and wisdom through supernatural visions. When Siddhartha Gautama, the man who would become the Buddha, began to teach, many expected him to perform miracles and display magical abilities to prove his enlightenment. Yet, to the surprise of many, the Buddha consistently discouraged the use of magic, forbade monks from performing it, and warned that such powers could easily become a trap. To understand why the Buddha took this stance, one must look deeply into the philosophy of his path. The psychology of human attachment, and the nature of true liberation, the Buddha's central teaching, the Dhamma, revolves around the Four Noble Truths, that life is marked by suffering, that suffering arises from craving, that it can be ended by letting go of craving, and that the path to this end is the Noble Eightfold Path. Every teaching, every practice, every ethical guideline in Buddhism serves that purpose, to free the mind from attachment and ignorance. Magic, in contrast, is the pursuit of power, control, and influence. Whether one seeks to heal, to harm, to predict the future, or to impress others, the underlying motive is still craving for power, security, or admiration. This is why the Buddha regarded magical practice not as sacred, but as a form of bondage that reinforces the very mental tendencies one must transcend. According to the Pali Canon, there are three kinds of miracles: the miracle of psychic powers, such as walking on water or levitating, the miracle of mind reading, and the miracle of instruction. The Buddha said the only miracle worth practicing is the last one, the miracle of instruction, because it leads others toward liberation, not fascination. In the Kavada Sutta, a monk once asked the Buddha to perform a miracle to inspire faith among the people of a nearby town. The Buddha refused. He explained that showing supernatural powers would only cause people to follow him out of awe or superstition, not out of genuine understanding. What he offered instead was not a display of power, but the teaching that led to wisdom and peace of mind. He said that miracles of psychic power and telepathy are inferior because they can be performed even by non-Buddhists, ascetics, or even spirits. Only the miracle of instruction transforms ignorance into insight. From a psychological standpoint, the Buddha understood that fascination with magic is a subtle form of attachment. When people experience wonder, fear, or admiration towards something they do not understand, the mind becomes dependent on the extraordinary. The pursuit of magic becomes a search for identity. I am special because I can do what others cannot. This directly strengthens the ego, which is the root of suffering. In contrast, the path of meditation, mindfulness, and wisdom dissolves the illusion of self and the need to control phenomena. The Buddha's path is about seeing things as they truly are, not manipulating them according to desire. Thus, even if supernatural powers arise naturally through deep meditation, the practitioner is warned not to cling to them or display them. The Buddha also foresaw the danger of deception. In his time, as in ours, many spiritual teachers used claims of magic to gain followers, wealth, and influence. He made it a rule in the Vinaya, the code of monastic discipline, that monks were forbidden to display or even boast about supernatural abilities. To do so was a serious offense leading to expulsion from the Sangha. The reason was simple: such displays distort the purpose of the Dharma. Instead of helping beings overcome suffering, they feed delusion and greed. The Buddha preferred that faith be built on understanding, not spectacle. He taught that those who are wise see through miracles, while those who are foolish become enslaved by them. Another layer to his prohibition lies in the ethical and karmic consequences of using magic. To perform acts intended to manipulate the external world or the minds of others is to interfere with karma, the natural law of cause and effect. When one uses willpower to alter events, even for good intentions, one may still be acting from ignorance, not wisdom. In Buddhist thought, right intention arises only when the mind is free from greed, hatred, and delusion. Magic often operates in the opposite direction, driven by desire to gain or fear to lose. Therefore, engaging in such practices keeps the mind bound to samsara, the endless cycle of craving and rebirth. The Buddha's teachings are filled with examples of how he redirected attention from the supernatural to the practical. Once, a man approached him and said, "Master, I want to know the beginning of the universe, how the world was created, and what lies beyond the stars." The Buddha replied, "Imagine a man pierced by a poisoned arrow who refuses treatment until he knows who shot him. What kind of bow was used, and from which direction it came? He would die before receiving an answer." In the same way, those who chase magical knowledge neglect the urgent task of freeing themselves from the poison of suffering. For the Buddha, understanding impermanence, non-self, and dependent origination was far more valuable than knowing how to summon rain or red mines. It is important to note that the Buddha did not deny the existence of extraordinary abilities. The texts acknowledge that advanced meditators may develop iddhis or siddhis, such as clairvoyance, levitation, or recalling past lives. The Buddha himself was said to possess such powers, but he treated them as natural byproducts of mental concentration, not as goals. He warned his disciples that to become attached to these powers is to fall into spiritual pride. When one's mind is purified, certain capacities may emerge, but the wise do not display them. The Buddha's example shows restraint. He used such abilities only when absolutely necessary for compassion, never to impress or control. Philosophically, the Buddha's rejection of magic also stems from his view of causality. In his teaching of dependent origination, every phenomenon arises from specific conditions and ceases when those conditions end. Magic, as conceived by the ancient world, implies that a will or force can override this natural order. But in the Buddha's vision, nothing stands outside the law of cause and effect, not even gods or spirits. To seek power over nature is to misunderstand the very fabric of existence. True freedom lies not in controlling the world but in understanding it so deeply that one no longer needs control. The ethical implications are profound. By turning away from magic, Buddhism placed the emphasis on moral discipline, sila, meditation, samadhi, and wisdom, prajna, as the only real paths to transformation. This was revolutionary in a time when spiritual teachers promised enlightenment through sacrifices, rituals, or secret formulas. The Buddha shifted the focus from outer performance to inner purification. In doing so, he liberated spirituality from superstition and returned it to human experience. The real miracle, he said, is when a person full of anger learns compassion, when greed turns into generosity, when ignorance transforms into insight. These are the true alchemical changes that matter. Even today, the temptation of magic persists. Modern culture still chases miracles, through psychic readings, energy healing, or promises of instant enlightenment. But the Buddha's warning remains timeless. Magic can produce results, but not liberation. It can satisfy curiosity, but not end suffering. The mind that seeks power cannot find peace. Only the mind that lets go can awaken. The Buddha invited humanity to a higher form of wonder, the wonder of direct awareness, where every breath, every sound, every sensation reveals the miraculous nature of reality itself. This is not the magic of control, but the magic of understanding. To follow the Buddha's teaching, therefore, is to walk the path of clarity rather than illusion. It is to choose wisdom over spectacle, truth over fantasy, compassion over domination. The Buddha forbade magic not because he feared it, but because he saw its danger. It distracts from the only real miracle, the liberation of the heart from suffering. In a world that still hungers for the supernatural, his message remains radical. The greatest power is not to command the elements, but to command the mind. The truest miracle is awakening. Thanks for watching. Our channel is new and needs your support. In our channel you can find many videos on the history and philosophical teachings of Buddhism. Please subscribe to our channel to support the teachings of Buddha on YouTube. You can download our app from Google Play. Get notifications, daily quotes from Buddha, guided meditation methods, articles about Buddhist wisdom and sutras from Pali Canon. Discover inner peace, cultivate mindfulness, and unlock the infinite wisdom of the Buddha with this app. Download link below.